You are now watching Believe. Do you believe?
All right, here we go. What's going on, folks? Welcome into Believe in Commanders. It's your man. I'm Anthony Armstrong. I'm solo dolo. My man Brian Murphy's had a little trouble at the house, little house side stuff like plumbing. So it's nothing too bad, but he's going to take care of it. So Brian, I'm holding it down for you. But we got some help here that's going to join us here in a little bit. But first and foremost, I want to make sure that we point out our sponsor, betonline.com. BetOnline is the fastest and the easiest way to wager on all of your favorite sports, contests, and events with first to market odds and lines. Find reviews and news for every league, including Major League Baseball, NFL, NBA, NHL, combat sports, esports, and even golf. BetOnline continues to be the top online resource for all your sports information, from live in-game betting, props, and futures. Head to BetOnline today or use your mobile device to join today and make your first sports bet. Use our promo code BELIEVE50, BLEAV50, to receive your 50% welcome bonus on your first deposit. BetOnline, where the game starts. Now let's do this. I'm going to welcome in a friend of mine, Washington Nation, Football Nation, Commander Nation. You know this guy. We go way back. The tables have turned. We're going to welcome in ABC host, Sports Journey, Team Insider, Mr. Lake Lewis. Bringing him in. Lake Lewis, what's going on? How are you, sir?
What's going on, my friend? This has turned. The tables have turned.
Yes, indeed. I was like, man, I got to find that picture. There's a picture of us at the radio show that you had me started in this crazy game. What was it, like 11, 12 years ago now?
Yeah, it's been a while, man. Time's flying right on by, right?
Neither one of us have aged at all. So that's a good thing.
I appreciate that.
We still look the same. But man, Lake, first and foremost, thanks for coming on. And you're out there watching the team. You've been out at training camp a few times. You're covering the team. That's what you do. You've been to the preseason game and the practices. So I want to get insight from you. What are just a couple of points or something that you've seen, maybe bits of improvement or some areas that they need to improve from week one moving into week two for this Washington team?
Well, I think you'll of all people be able to appreciate that this might be the deepest their receiving core has been in a long time. And they've got a lot of speed out there. When you played and you were opposite Santana, you guys had speed. And there was Deshaun Jackson and Pierre Garçon. And it kind of fell apart a little bit. Then naturally you found Terry McLaurin. But he needed somebody opposite him. So now when you look at their receiving core, you have Curtis Samuel, he looks healthy. Hopefully he's healthy. We know what he can do when he is healthy. He's versatile, he's fast, he's quick. You can put him in different spots on the field. And then Jahan Dotson, I got to say we are, Penn State all day. He's another guy that's going to be a nice added bonus for them. So you have these fast receivers now, a lot of speed on the outside, and all starts with the quarterback position. You go out and you get Carson Wentz, a guy that, whether you like him or not, one of the things that he can do is that he can put the ball down the field. So when you have speed, you want to be able to open the field up. So I've been impressed with that part of their game, their practices, the preseason game. There were a couple chances they took down the field during the preseason game they didn't hit, but those were throws that I'm not sure Taylor Heineke last year would have attempted. Those are throws that I'm not sure Kirk Cousins would have even taken when he was here. So now you've got a big arm quarterback with fast receivers. Hopefully that opens your offense up. So that's the first thing that jumps out at me. And then the second thing is they've got a problem at running back. Not a bad problem, a good problem. And the problem is that Brian Robinson Jr. should be their starter. He's a true running back, and you saw what he did in the preseason game. Yes, preseason Anthony, but you could see he gave the offense a little something different from Antonio Gibson. And I'm actually thinking if Brian Robinson continues to have a strong preseason, he's going to be the opening day starter.
Yeah, I can see that happening, especially it didn't help that Antonio had that fumble. There were some reports today. I saw some tweets. I think Pete Haley had tweeted one that you had AG was working at that slot on punt block. where that was normally Brian Robinson. And I know personally, I read that and I was like, oh yeah, they've made the switch.
They've already made the switch, right?
They've made the switch. They've made the switch. And from a player standpoint, and I've been chirping this, I was like, okay, as an offensive coach, like Coach Turner, you got to think, hey, let's try to find a way to use AG creatively. But you can't put somebody back on the field with some ball security issues. So another position that I do want to ask you about, especially when you talk about opening up the field, you get those receivers pushing the ball downfield. It's going to open some intermediate areas on the field as well. You have Sammis Reyes just got put on injured reserve. What's the team going to do with this tight end position?
I mean, they've got some talent at the tight end position, especially with some of the rookies, some of the younger guys. The problem is everybody's nicked up right now, so Cole Turner you probably won't see him until, the opening day, the first game, just to play it safe. And he's a rookie, so he's a guy that you would want to get, some reps and practice and familiarity with his teammates and Carson Wentz. But they just can't chance it right now because they're so thin at the position. But they're also extremely talented at the position. I mean, Curtis Hodges is another guy, tall, 6'7", 6'8". That's the thing, Anthony. These tight ends are huge.
Big
so
guys.
They've got a lot of size to them. Just can't really get them all on the field. So, Armani Rogers right now is kind of the guy that's stepping into the role, at least for right now. And then, of course, Logan Thomas, won't be available to start the season. So, you just got to get these guys healthy. But I do think that once everyone can come back and they can be healthy, I actually think they could be a strength on the offense. I think they're going to be that deep at the position.
You talk about depth. We have to talk about the lack of depth on the opposite side of the ball, guys who cover those tight ends more often, the linebacker position. You've seen, obviously, you got, Jamin Davis, Cole Holcomb. You hear the name David Mayo get thrown around, and a few other guys that maybe lesser-known players. What's the answer there?
They run a lot of two linebacker sets or packages. So it's not like, you're gonna see a lot of the, I guess, lack of depth because Cole Holcomb and Jamin Davis are going to be on the field quite a bit. Jamin Davis had a really nice practice today, and our good friend John Kime, put out, he was doing some really good stuff. And, fans are skeptical of Jamin Davis, and I always say he had a decent rookie season. The problem is the guy that people were trying to compare him to for Washington, another Penn Stater, Micah Parsons, who's down your way.
Yeah.
He's just a phenomenal football player, and that's not fair to Jamin. And I also think, Jamin was brought in to be a middle linebacker, which we all know is not his position.
That's a tough spot.
Right, exactly. So they moved him to the outside, and he's getting familiar with that. And I think you're going to see a much better, quote-unquote, sophomore season for him. Khaliq Hudson is another linebacker that's had a decent camp. He's from Michigan, kind of undersized guy, but he does make plays out there, and he's actually had a pretty strong preseason and, training camp. So he probably would be, in my opinion, the third guy up outside of a David Mayo. But, yeah, they're thin at the position. They didn't address it in the draft, and there were some guys that were sitting there that I was just sure, like in the Kobe Dean, I was just like, oh, they're going to draft them, and they didn't do it. And then there were some other guys sitting there, and they didn't draft them. So hopefully they feel like what they have in the building is enough to get the job done. We're going to find out.
That is definitely the truth. So let's see. We talk about biggest position battle. So I saw today that Coach Rivera was saying 6 is his number at receiver. That's the number that he's been throwing out. And that's what I thought. I was like, 5 is on the low end. 6 is probably what that magic number ends up being. You have Dotson, McLaurin, and Samuel and Cam Sims. If you assume that's your top 4, who do you have filling in those 5 and 6 spots at the receiver position?
Yeah, that's a great question. And I'm almost, I don't want to say certain, but obviously I would say Terry McLaurin, Curtis Samuel, Jahan Dotson, Cam Sims, Dak Milne is my 5th. And, this is going to be interesting because there's some other guys that are there that, of course, the sixth guy is going to be De'Ami Brown. Those are locks. That's your six. That's a lock. No one else is cutting into that, Anthony. So, there's no other wild cards in the picture. Those are your six guys. Lock it solid. The thing that's going to be interesting is that who out of that group is going to end up being maybe your punt returner. Mm-hmm. And now you think about it, with Antonio Gibson perhaps having his running back spot taken, do you use him as a change of pace guy in the backfield, or do you use him how he was used in college as kind of like a Swiss Army knife, put him all over the field, and now you have kind of like two versions of Curtis Samuel on the field at the same time, which could be interesting. So do you put him back there punt return if he's fumbling? I don't know. It's going to be interesting.
Yeah, I think that he could benefit from one-on-one situations. With his skill set, I'm loosely comparing him to like a Alvin Kamara, right? Mm-hmm. Just saying the fact that, hey, you can run some routes out of the backfield. He can probably split you out. You can have some success. But there's something about running in between those tackles. You got really big guys that are hitting you on the arms and hitting on the football, trying to knock it out of your hands. That can add a little bit of issues. Let's see here. I wanted to go to the next spot. Let's talk about the safety position. Mm-hmm. What do you see the team doing there? There's a lot of names that have been thrown around with that position.
I like what they have going on at safety. I like the rookie Butler quite a bit. But I think Bobby McCain has solidified himself there. He just, when he came in last year, I was always saying that I don't know why they made the change from Jeremy Reeves. I thought Jeremy Reeves and Cam Curl had worked really well 2 years ago when they were both rookies. But, they wanted to upgrade at the position, and Bobby McCain is showing now that he can make plays, and he's more comfortable. When you come over from another team to another team's system, and it's something totally different from what you're used to running from a terminology standpoint, from, schematic where you need to be on the field, it takes time. And I think towards the middle of last year, you saw him start to make plays, and you remember how they finished last season against the Giants. The 2 interceptions from him, one was for a touchdown. He showed that what he could do with a full off season in the system. And so I like that. I'm a big Cam Curl guy at strong safety. I think he's got Pro Bowl written all over him. I really do. It was just unfortunate that last year, you had Landon Collins. They paid Landon Collins a lot of money. He's had success in the league. So you had to have him on the field. You just did. The problem was it cut into Cam Curl's development in his second year. So now he's going to be the guy at strong safety, and I think you're going to see him emerge as one of their best players on defense.
I'm excited for that. I like him as a player. Definitely like what he brings some physicality, and I think they're going to need some help from the safety position to kind of take a little bit of pressure off of that linebacker position as well.
Yeah.
Let's see here. Okay, so the next thing, we get away from the training camp a little bid. The mascot. Did you vote in the mascot poll, a hog, dog, superhero, or military person? What'd you vote for?
I didn't vote for anything. Honestly, I've been saying this even as far as the name change. You're a former player that played for the Redskins, and some people have a tough time accepting that they've moved on from that. And I keep saying this, whatever the mascot is, whatever the team colors were, whatever the name was, if you come out on Sunday and you win consistently, I've said it before, I don't care if your name was the Cupcakes and your uniform was all pink. It would be a lot of pink cupcakes around DC if you're winning. And that's all that matters, man, is what happens on the field in between those white lines.
No, I agree with you. That's the truth. Ultimately, the players aren't going to too much care, but I would vote for Hog personally. There's that Commander Hog that's been circulating around. Yeah,
I like it. If you made me make a decision, that's where I'm going to, because it does keep, part of the history of the Hogs, and with people dressed in the stadium, and you have the modern commander added to it. So I just think that's a slam dunk. They can't mess that up.
Yeah, please don't. Please don't. Now with the theme song, I say start brand new. Don't try to recreate the past. I say start brand new. Let me ask you this. This is something I was on a podcast the other day. They asked the question, what is a successful season for this team? What do you think a successful season is?
Well, obviously, to start, you want to win more than you did the previous year, the prior year. And they've had 7 straight, 7 consecutive winning seasons since Ron Rivera's come in. I will say the first year was very much a shocker to a lot of people because they won the division with 7 wins. I mean, that's not something to write home about, but you still won the division and you won it with a lot of young players. So at least they come into the league and taste some success, so that's all they knew at that point. Last year, tougher schedule, still anemic quarterback play, no consistency there, and different guys rotating in and out over Ron Rivera's 2 years. I think there's been 5 different quarterbacks. So, you still had 7 wins, and you were competitive. That's the other thing. If they were just getting blown out every game, then that'd be a problem, but they were competitive. Now you have another year of a drafted, your guys, some free agents that you brought in that are familiar with your system. And again, you go out and you get your quarterback now. And whether, people knock Carson Wentz for being inaccurate or whatever, listen, man, he had 27 touchdowns and 7 interceptions in Indy last year. That's not bad. He had that, and they had the league's leading rusher. So, yeah. And he had that where his receivers, outside of maybe a Zach Pascal, T.Y. Hilton and those guys and Michael Pittman, they were hurt a lot. So, I'm signing up for a quarterback that can get me those numbers, especially under those circumstances. So, now you have everything in place. So, Anthony, to answer your question, I'm going to say right now I have them at 8 to 9 wins. I think, if they can play well, if they can come out the gate early. You do have Jacksonville first game, Detroit second game. And those aren't 2 teams that you can take lightly because they're trying to prove something too, that they've rebounded. But if you can go 2-0, and then you've got I think Dallas week 4 or whatever, or Philly week 3. I mean, if you can go 2-0 and have your division games coming up with some success, maybe you can get to 10 wins. But I think realistically, this is probably a 9-win football team, and that could get you a wild card spot in the NFC playoffs.
Yeah, I was saying that the ideal situation is 10 and winning the division, simply because Dallas isn't at full power, right? You have CD Lamb, but you don't have Michael Gallup over there. You're trying to figure out the second receiver. Is Zeke slowing down? So I figured the best case scenario, if you give me best Carson Wentz and stability on the backfield, no turnovers, I feel like you're going to give yourself an opportunity to be successful, sneak into those playoffs.
So do you think 10 wins is enough to win the division? Because I think Philadelphia and Dallas are going to be pretty good football teams.
I don't necessarily – they haven't proven in recent history that I feel like they're just going to go on a run and just take everybody out. If Dallas had Gallup and they were at more of full strength on offense, and then maybe I'd be like, okay, like Dallas is scary. But when Gallup got hurt, it's unfortunate, but it takes away a lot of firepower. So – absolutely. I think it brings that division a lot closer. I mean, hate to say it, but you got to love what Philly did this offseason. Trading for A.J. Brown is a big move. You give yourself somebody for Hurts to throw the ball to. They built the offense to say, here, you're going to have success or we're going to get somebody else. And then they've made somebody else. And that's the play. So either they're going to be good now, and I feel like Philly could get you an 7-8 wins. But the way they finished last year makes it very scary to see what they can do this year with some added improvements across a couple of key positions.
Absolutely.
Yes, indeed. We were looking for Mr. Mike Sellers to join us, but I may have to catch him on another one because I know you may have had some questions for him. But one of the questions I was going to ask him was about the additional 10 greatest players added to the Washington football list of just great players. Did you see that list? Did you get to vote on that one?
I didn't vote on it, actually. I've been looking at the list, and I've had some candid comments about the list, not just these 10, but in general, because no Trent Williams.
Well, they put him back. They put him on there.
Yeah,
I think they revised it and put it on. I think
of course.
That might have been a
That's
little petty.
Come on.
That might have been. I voted. I picked Trent. I'd have put Trent on that list. I'll put him on that list. You got to give him love. You can't be mad at the way he left, but leave it on the field. You got to put him on the list of the next 10 to add to the greatest players list.
First of all, Trent Williams is probably one of the. If you just look at body of work in a Redskin uniform, or do we have to say Commanders even when we reference the past now? Is that
no? They haven't even played yet. I just stick to Washington. I know I can't go wrong.
Right. So who played for Washington, I'm gonna go out and on a limb, and I don't even think it's a limb to say Trent Williams is one of the 10 greatest Washington players of all time, and might be top 5. I mean, you just have to look at the body of work. Multiple Pro Bowls. And I mean, he's recognized around the league. He's not a guy that is kind of pushed up and pumped up here, from the fan base here. No, he's widely respected around the league. And now in San Francisco, I mean, people are talking about him being the best offensive lineman in football, period. And that's at 33? I mean, my goodness.
I mean, looking at stats, I mean, you got a 9-time Pro Bowler, 1-time All-Pro. I mean, okay, this has sacks? Maybe, that's how many sacks did he have? I'm going to say he never gave up a sack, but he very rarely. I mean, he's very consistent. Yeah, he had some time away from injuries, but he definitely gave you consistency at that position. You knew. Basically, the only time we didn't make the Pro Bowl were his first 2 years in the league. Ever since then, he made all the Pro Bowls there. Other people on that list, you had Mike Sellers was on the list, Alfred Morris, both quarterbacks from 2012, RG3, Kirk Cousins, and frankly, there's a lot of folks from the past that I have never heard of. So I didn't vote for them because I didn't know the names, but. I did not vote for either quarterback.
Were you right? And I mean, Cousins needs to be on there. RG3 probably just because of that magical first year. The rookie campaign that you guys got in the playoffs, things like that. That's probably what that was. But there's a lot of guys. It's going to be interesting to see at the end of this who was left off. I don't think it's hard to come up with these people, with these players. A lot of them did some good things, but I want to see, are they putting people in there from a popularity standpoint as opposed to a production standpoint? So that's what that's going to be on there. I mean, hell, if you want to put people on there for having 1 or 2 really, really strong seasons, I'm throwing Anthony Armstrong on there.
Hey, you know what? Look, I was looking for a write-in vote. Put me up there. I'll take an asterisk. Hell, you can throw me on that list.
I mean, and look, came out of nowhere, and I remember them days vividly. Those were good times, man. So
oh yeah,
a lot of guys that had some production for a couple years, some strong years. That possibly could pop up on there. Alfred Morris, definitely came to mind when I saw that. Didn't have, I mean, I don't even know if he had more than 3 years from a production standpoint.
Yeah, he had his couple.
Those years were super strong, though, man.
I mean, you come in and what he did, led the league in rushing just about, and I mean, he had a hell of a start, had a hell of a career. I think he just retired and is getting into a new industry somewhere. I saw his wife made a post. So good luck to him. Got to get him on the show.
Yeah.
got to get him on the show, but he don't get nothing new. He might be on dial-up still, so I gotta I gotta get Alfred to upgrade a little bit to get him out here on the show. All right, pivot. I'm gonna pivot back to the preseason. Just looking ahead to this upcoming weekend. I mean, the way that the preseason schedules have been changed. The second game is kind of like the third game now, where it's the dress rehearsal. What are some key improvements that you're looking for, either from players or from the team overall, going into this game against Kansas City?
I mean, this is probably the best case scenario for Washington to have a dress rehearsal against a Super Bowl contender. You want to see your defense be able to make some plays, and naturally they're going up against, one of the best, if not the best quarterback in football. So you want to put pressure on Patrick Mahomes. Kansas City's a little different from what they were, in the past. They've got some big receivers now, as opposed to pretty much the fast scat guys everywhere. Tyreek Hill's gone. Hardman. I mean, you still have some speed, but at the end of the day, Washington, this gives them a chance to see where they really are on a defensive standpoint. You'll get a chance to see how their linebackers can do, as you mentioned earlier, because you're playing against the best tight end in football, if not one of the top 2 or 3, in Travis Kelce. So who's going to cover him? Naturally, it looks like it's going to have to be Jamin Davis. So this is a good test, a good litmus test. Everyone will be able to see where Jamin Davis is. On the other side of the ball, how will the offensive line hold up? Kansas City's made some moves to their defensive line, and I think Chris Jones is still there, if I'm not mistaken. So, you want to see how they can protect, Carson Wentz in the pocket and give him some time. So I'm looking forward to this game. I mean, I'm actually pretty excited about the game. We don't get excited about preseason, and I'm sure you as players don't either. You're trying to make it through without getting hurt. But I love the fact that it's only 3 preseason games now. And you're right, the second game now becomes the dress rehearsal. I would venture to say, Anthony, you're probably going to see the starters for a half this game, and then that's it.
Yeah, if they're successful and they look good and efficient, I could see that being the plan. Yeah, just a half I think is fair. I was surprised that they got into, I think it was a third quarter last game.
I was.
But it was, I had to watch just some highlights, but I think they told a great story that the offense, it took a little while to get going, but they didn't give it away, right? It was like, okay, all right, we're almost, and I punt the ball, and then defense bend, don't break, and then the offense kind of had another drive that kind of sputtered, but then eventually they put a long one together, and that's what Coach Rivera was looking for, and that's really what everybody's looking for in the preseason anyways. They want to see that, are you able to show up, line up, execute the plays, and look good, where I can say, okay, get the hell off the field. We don't want you to be out there all day.
Right. Proved your point. Right.
Exactly. Who are you expecting to make a splash in this game?
I think Carson Wentz should have a better game. I think again, he took some chances last week down the field. One was a pass interference, so that's a positive play. You picked up 30-yard pass interference. If not, Dotson's catching the ball, for 40, 50 yards. So they took a chance, and those are throws, like I said, I'm not sure if anybody else in the past 2 years would have made or even attempted. So now I do want to see them carry that into Kansas City, take some shots down the field, open up the offense a little bit. And I also want to see more of Brian Robinson. I know you don't want to batter your running back in the preseason, especially the type of running back that he is, a physical running back. But I think that this guy, his emergence is going to open up this offense even more, because let's call it like it is. And this isn't knocking Antonio Gibson. And I think a lot of people have to stop knocking him. He's a talented kid. He's a great young man, super nice. The problem is that he's learning a position that he really didn't play in college, and he's learning it at the highest level possible. That's tough. That's like telling me, you sending me to MIT to learn some engineering and stuff like that, and I've never done that. So not just having to learn something hard, but learn it against the smartest and best, most talented people in the profession. So
Yeah.
I think that that's been a problem for him. And you can clearly see, though, from a vision standpoint and things like that, he's not a running back. He's just not. He kind of dances in the hole a little bit. It's hard to run in between those tackles, and it's hard to run in when you don't really maybe understand some things. And you could see with Brian Robinson, he's quick and decisive. He knows, this isn't here, I'm going there.
Yeah.
And I just kept seeing him churn 2-3 yards every time he touched the ball. Even when there was no blocking there, he still made positive yards. So I'm looking forward to seeing him against Kansas City. And if he can have a strong second game, yeah, man, it's a lot. He'll be one of them guys like I used to do, no pads on for the final preseason game.
Hey, man, I was telling them other kids, I didn't like that. I didn't play in that final preseason game my first year.
I remember you saying, because you still felt like you had something to prove and you weren't sure. You didn't want to be. You didn't want to be in the locker room for cut day because you still
not at all. Yeah, man. And Santana Moss, Chris Cooley, Clinton Portis, Mike Sellers, Anthony Armstrong. I said, "Oh no!" They're like, "Congrats!" I'm like, "Nah, man, nah." But ironically enough, I mean, fast forward to 2012, like the last two games, I was supposed to get some burn, and I didn't get my burn. And them other two guys balled out, Aldrich and Desmond Briscoe. They had hellified final two games, and that sent me packing. So you see, I knew. I was like, man, I don't know, man. Maybe I just need to catch one more touchdown, but no, it's exciting time.
Still were happy about that though.
I was happy I made it. I didn't relax until Monday when I actually got to go back in the building. That means I officially made it across that roster. Wow. Oh man, yeah. It's sometimes it wasn't until recently that I actually put stuff up. I never really had any decorations or any memorabilia up on the wall, so I had to say, you know what, man, you got to give yourself a little love for what you did. And
in the NFL, you started.
Yeah. That's kind of crazy.
In the NFL, nobody. Let's be honest, man. Nobody knew who you were when you got there. No one was expecting anything like that. And
Facts.
You became a fan favorite. I mean, hell, man, you started opposite Santana Moss when he was in his prime.
Yeah. What the hell am I doing here?
Yeah, so I'm saying, man, of course you need to be proud of that. I mean, there's only 1% of the population that can, and you can't even say 1%. I'm talking 1% of the sports population. That can say they've done something like that. So
give yourself a little love.
That's an honor.
Yeah, I mean, hey, I appreciate it more. I like you said, I'm just always head down grinding, and I know that there's going to be somebody that shows up out of this off season that's going to be that next guy. So let's do this. Who's going to be the next Anthony Armstrong?
Ooh, wait, that's a good one, man. If I would have to say, the difference is that they're set at the receiver spot. And
it don't have to be receiver, it could be somewhere else. Like just that one guy that you're like.
Curtis Hodges.
Yeah.
Remember that name, tight end. He's
he's a former quarterback, 6'8", right?
Yeah, just former quarterback, and you knew these guys used to hoop, man. There's no way you're 6'8", you didn't hoop at some point. Come on, man. That if not
all that height
on my football team either.
All that height.
Not a good athlete.
Don't waste that height. You way up there, can't do nothing but change light bulbs. You better hoop a little bit. Come on.
Come on, man. If I was 6'8", we might not be on this phone right now. I'd still be getting money overseas or something.
Hey, I ain't mad at it. Okay, Curtis Hodges. Hey, circle it, especially really though. If you look at it, the reason people get opportunities is one, you earn it, but two, you got to be ready to take advantage of the opportunities that show up. I mean, Logan Thomas being out, that's unfortunate. And now you got Cole Turner that's out. That's unfortunate. But, hey, you trying to eat. You need to get these reps. And Curtis Hodges is on you. So you make a play or two, catch a touchdown, you're going to end up on somebody's roster here coming up soon. Well,
and he's a
man,
guy that you can't stash either. I mean, you can't now. I mean, you can't protect him. You can't hide him, especially with Samuels being out. And people see, oh, this guy's got some talent, and he's 6'8". Somebody
can't
will
coach
snatch him
tall
real quick.
You
Right.
can't coach tall, and you can't coach speed.
Nope,
and if you got
not at all.
one of those two things, they'll figure out. I've seen a lot of below average football players who had like one or two of those traits, and you're like, well, that's why he's here. But
Right.
they're like, if we can figure out how to get this guy to read a card and run the right route, he's going to be amazing. Hopefully, Curtis doesn't have to in that category, but best of luck to him. I love seeing those undrafted guys just come in and just make the most of it and take full advantage.
Absolutely.
Makes it the most exciting. But man, Lake, I appreciate you taking the time. Appreciate you coming over here, kicking with us a little bit. Do you have any last words, anything that you want to add, any shout outs that you want to throw to the people?
Man, just appreciate doing this with you. And it's good to catch up and, see your transition, is going quite well in real estate world and all those good things. So congrats to that. And, it's just good to see one of the nice guys continuing to blossom and do well. And, I know your family. And so just good stuff, man. It's good to see you guys doing well.
Man, I appreciate those kind words, and it's good to see you across the screen. It's all the tables to everybody that used to interview me. Now I need a favor. Y'all need to come on and help your boy out and jump on the pod. But man, I appreciate you taking the time. Folks, thanks for tuning in to this episode of Believe in Commanders. Don't forget, go to betonline.com. Use our code BELIEVE50, BLEAV 50. Get 50% off of the bet. Lake, do you do any of the betting? Do you know any? I mean, obviously, you may not be able to do it legally, but
DraftKings is one of my sponsors. So.
Oh yeah, okay, all right.
Yeah, so I put some parlays together every now and then.
always, I'm the one that's like, I'm gonna try this little crazy ass. I gotta hit 16 or 16. I'm gonna win $130,000. That's me. I'm like, you know what?
I'll put $1 on a 16 team bet, and they're all underdogs, and I go to sleep and say I'm gonna wake up a different man.
Hey, you like, this is the week. This is the 1 week that all of the underdogs are gonna win. It's like,
Exactly.
You're like, like you got to think about it. That one week way back in, what was it, 2011 or something, or 2009, the Dolphins were 0 forever. And then Greg Camarillo caught that pass, takes it to the end zone, and they are not lost. They get their first win. Somebody made that bet. All right, or they either busted a parlay or they made a parlay based on those Dolphins winning.
But you got to have a lot of money to win a lot of money. So my thing is, if you bet for a major underdog to win, and you bet $20, I mean, yeah, you might get 100 back, but if you're gonna go for that kind of gusto, you might as well drop a couple thousand on that so you can get back some six figures. And
you're gonna be out there like Mattress Mac, man. You over there doing it big. Let's let these folks get out of here, man. Lake Lewis, I appreciate you taking the time. Believe Nation. We'll see you on the next one. And good luck to the Commanders this week, y'all. Stay out of trouble. See y'all next time.
Take care now. All right.